Hi everyone, today we're talking about could Trump actually crash the stock market. Now, if I'm trying to keep like political views out of this and political opinions, I just want to try and base this on the stock market only, and I'm going to give a few reasons why I think this could potentially happen. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I think it's just something to just be a bit cautious of. So the other day, Trump says Americans could very easily withstand 10% price hikes on iPhones and laptops if his next round of tariffs hit Chinese electronics. President will hike some tariffs on Chinese goods from 10% to 25% in January. He also has so far spared Chinese computers and smartphones in order to limit the direct impact on consumers. So, iPhones and laptops are probably the most used products that we use every day. Companies quite often, need a laptop for their work and for the people that work for that company. And something like this, I feel like would affect companies big time. I think the hike in the iPhone would affect the consumers big time, and something like this would affect Apple hugely. And I think it's really important that we remember that Apple is one of the biggest companies that affects the stock market as a whole. It's a massive part of the Dow. I think it's around about 3%. It's a massive part of the Nasdaq, which is about 10%, which the Nasdaq's led mostly for this year as well. So if Apple gets hit big time, normally it brings the stock market down with it. And there's a lot of companies that rely on Apple, and if companies that rely on Apple get affected too, it's a big chunk of the stock market that's affected, and we just don't want to see that happen. Of all the companies that are in the stock market, Apple is the one, even if you're not invested in, you take a big interest in because so many stocks rely on it and so many companies rely on it. So something like this, I think, is a very big bad news for investors, for the consumers as well. So I was very worried when I saw this news in the long term. Obviously, this China trade war has been one of the biggest problems for this year. I'd say that the Fed hikes as well of the interest rates hasn't been amazing, but that's still really low. We compare it to like a long time ago. Interest rates used to be so high, and they're still really low right now. So even if they carry on putting them up, if they put them up in December, they're still going to be pretty low, which isn't too bad. I think the China trade war has been the big massive concern. Basically, because we thought, like back in March, we were like, China won't retaliate more than twice, and they carried on doing it all year, and it's affected the stock market big time. We've seen companies over this last quarter, especially. I've listened to a lot of earnings reports, and they've all consistently said the China trade war has affected our company's revenue. So for a lot of companies, for saying that is quite worrying. I believe that the stock market would have been up now probably 20% this year if it wasn't for the China trade war, which was caused by Donald Trump really going to challenge China on these tariffs. I believe the stock market would have been in a good place. A lot of the Chinese stocks would have been in a good place. I know companies like JD, companies like Alibaba, they would have been in a better place if it wasn't for the China trade war. I think companies like Alibaba would be valued in the 200 range right now. So yeah, I think this has affected the stock market big time. I think the tariffs have affected big time. A lot of companies have been in a better place, and I think if Donald Trump does follow through with this, I think it will affect companies quite a bit. So I'm a little bit worried about it all. I think any potential for a good year next year with this sort of China trade war going into it next year will bring the chance of a good year down quite a bit. So something to keep eyes on, guys. But like I said, try to keep political views out of it. Think about companies, listen to how much it's affected their revenues. But thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope I informed you on something there. Give the video a like. Thanks for all the support recently. It's been absolutely amazing again. And I'll see you on the next video.